questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Tomorrow will be the 10th costly Liberal budget to be tabled over a decade that has skyrocketed the cost of living for Canadians. The PM is once again asking for sacrifices for Canadians who are paying too much. For the Conservatives, it's simple. If the budget brings down the cost of living, we'll vote for it. But if the budget just further increases the cost of living, we're going to vote against it. Instead of causing a costly election for a costly budget, why not table an affordable budget for an affordable life? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, obviously we're listening to the members of the opposition, and good news, Mr. Speaker. I think I've just learned that the opposition leader will order all of his colleagues to vote for the budget because, yes, it will be an affordable budget, and yes, it will build Canada, and yes, the budget will make Canadians very proud. So we welcome the support of the Conservative Party and the Leader of the Opposition.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, for 10 years now, the Liberals have been making the same promises. The Finance Minister was the Minister of Industry previously, and he gave us the greatest drop in investment in Canada after promising that they would promote investment. And what happened? It doubled the debt, doubled lineups at food banks, and doubled the cost of housing. So instead of forcing Canadians to make more sacrifices and triggering a costly election on a costly budget, why not table an affordable budget for an affordable life? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, it will be an affordable budget for an affordable life, and not only that, it will be one that opens the door wide to opportunities for Canadians and young Canadians across our country. People in the trades, for Canadian softwood and steel and aluminum. We are going to build this beautiful big country affordably and do something, Mr. Speaker, that will be historical by building a better Canada.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, tomorrow will be the 10th costly Liberal budget after they doubled housing costs, doubled food bank lineups, and doubled the national debt. Now they're making exactly the same costly promises. And the Prime Minister says Canadians who can't afford to eat, heat, or house themselves need to make more, quote, sacrifices. The choice for us is simple. If a budget brings down the cost of living, we'll support it. If it brings up the cost of living, just like every other Liberal budget, we will vote no. So instead of trying to provoke a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, you know, obviously we've listened attentively to what the opposition have to say, and I think I just heard good news. The Leader of the Opposition saying that he's going to order his troops and himself, and they'll walk in here and support this great, affordable, Liberal budget that's coming down tomorrow, a budget that brings down taxes for Canadians, a budget that brings down taxes and GST for first-time homebuyers, a budget that makes life more affordable and creates opportunities for young people all over this country, a generational budget, and a budget that I know will be glad to have the support of the Leader of the Opposition.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, they've been making those promises for the last 9 Liberal budgets, which doubled housing costs and drove 2.2 million people to the food bank because of higher grocery prices. So if he wants to take ideas for an affordable budget, an affordable life, here's one. There's the Liberal industrial carbon tax, which applies to the steel, cement, and other inputs to build homes. And it applies to the farmers and their fertilizer and equipment. So will the Prime Minister, instead of provoking an unnecessary election, get rid of the industrial carbon tax so we can bring down food and housing costs?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it was going so well up till now. We still have hope, though, that this Leader of the Opposition won't want to send Canadians, including our great farmers, to the polls over the Christmas season. The leader continues to bring up these imaginary taxes. We'd be happy to explain to him once again that farmers in this country are mostly exempt from any of those industrial carbon taxes, Mr. Speaker. The budget will be affordable. The budget will be great. The budget will build this country and build opportunities for farmers, for young people, and all Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's got to get his story straight. First, he started his answer by saying there is no industrial carbon tax, and then he finished it by saying the industrial carbon tax is great and doesn't cost anybody any money. He's got to decide which it is. Here's how it works for a Prime Minister who doesn't understand that Canadians need steel. The industrial carbon tax on steel, cement, plastic, and other inputs raises the cost of building homes. The tax on farm equipment and fertilizer raises the cost of food. So if they want an affordable budget for an affordable life, why not scrap this industrial carbon tax on food and homes?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, earlier this year, Canadians elected a new government with a strong mandate to build the strongest economy in G7. Tomorrow, we will table a generational budget, Mr. Speaker. We will invest less in government operations so we can invest more in Canada. We will build Canada. We will invest in Canadians. We will invest across this country from coast to coast to coast and build the strongest economy in the G7. It's time for the leader and his party to stop the rhetoric. Join us. Support this budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That member has been in this Liberal government for 10 years, and he says that he's new, making the same promises that deficits will result in investment. Well, the last time the current finance minister promised that, what we saw is that investment dropped more than at any time in Canadian history, more than any other G7 country. But you know what went up? The cost of housing doubled. Food went up, doubling the number of people in food bank lineups, and they doubled the national debt. So, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life by getting rid of the industrial carbon tax on food and homes for a change?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, you can't make this up. That member's been in this House for 20 years. He's sat in opposition now for 10 years and has not supported one affordability measure this government has put forward. Mr. Speaker, we have cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We have cut the tax for first-time home buyers. We are moving forward, Mr. Speaker, for automatic federal benefits, getting benefits of 5.5 million Canadians. They do nothing but vote against affordability measures. He's been in this House for 20 years. He has produced nothing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, we're 24 hours away from the budget, and the government still hasn't moved beyond threatening to call an election. And frankly, the public is not impressed. It voted for a minority government, and a minority government works with other parties to get its budget passed. The government has 3 potential supporters to choose from. So it's ridiculous that with only 24 hours to go before the budget, the Liberals still aren't negotiating and they're content to threaten an election at Christmas. Will they finally respect the will of the people and get to work? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, I think that the member wouldn't mind if I congratulate all of the candidates for the municipal elections in Quebec and the winners that were on the platforms yesterday. In terms of our talks, the member knows full well that we've had wonderful discussions with her leader, with her and other members of her team. We're listening, and we have listened, as well as the 44 Quebec members from the Liberal Party, and we're listening to the opposition, including the Bloc, and I hope that everyone will see their aspirations reflected in the budget. The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, they're listening, but they're not hearing. People don't want an election, but what they did want was a minority government, and if they had wanted the Liberals to behave like monarchs, they would have given them both hands on the wheel. But for 3 consecutive elections, voters have been telling them, work with the opposition and negotiate. 2019, 2021, 2025, same result. And here they are again, threatening elections instead of working. After 3 elections and just 24 hours before the budget, isn't it time for the Liberals to get the message? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the government was elected 6 months ago, and 6 months to come up with a budget plan to build Quebec and create opportunities for Quebecers and Canadians across the country from one coast to another. Well, there will be projects in this budget tomorrow, an investment that will be there. It will create opportunities for young people and people from Quebec and elsewhere. And I think Bloc members, just like all the other members in this House, will see their aspirations and hopes for Canada reflected in a document that will build Canada. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagoacton. Mr. Speaker, the conflict with Washington is far from over. The Liberals have even gone so far as to apologize on our knees when we are the ones suffering from tariffs. And since this won't end anytime soon, why is the priority in the budget tomorrow will not be to support Canadians? We've made 6 requests related to the needs of Quebecers: money for health, fair pensions for seniors, transfers for housing and infrastructure, loans for home ownership, and 814 million refunds to Quebecers. Tomorrow, the Liberals have a choice. Will they respond to the needs of Quebecers? The Honourable Minister of Industry. The answer is simple. I could just say yes and sit down. But since my colleague also referred to the fact that we still are having discussions with the government, yes, we are at the negotiating table in the U.S., and we expect the Americans to meet with us. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to the support sectors, including forestry in his sector, the automotive sector. We know that steel and aluminum and softwood lumber as well. So we'll be there for workers with a consequential budget. Thank you.
Member for Thornhill.
Another day and another grim headline confirming what Canadians already know. 10 years of Liberal economics have driven this country to the brink. In the GTA, 85% say now it's too expensive to live and work in their own communities. And they're right. The Liberals doubled the debt, they maxed out the national credit card, and they handed Canadians a bill through inflation and crushing taxes. Their carbon tax, their fuel standard, the plastic ban make it more expensive to grow, move, and buy food. Will they finally admit their policies punish the very people they're trying to help and use tomorrow's budget to scrap these hidden food taxes once and for all?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Our new government will deliver its first budget tomorrow focused on making generational investments to unlock jobs and opportunities, to boost productivity and growth, to build housing, infrastructure and defense, to attract $500 billion in new private investment, to double trade with non-U.S. countries and to move from reliance to resilience. We're making responsible investments while reducing operational spending. This is how we build the strongest economy in the G7. Tomorrow's budget will empower Canadians because this is your country and we decide what comes next.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
The minister talks like the government's money belongs to him, and every dollar they spend comes right out of the pockets of Canadians. And to the 85% in the GTA who say they can't afford life, they call these taxes imaginary. They aren't imaginary when you're staring at your own credit card bill. The government's job is to listen to Canadians, not lecture them or gaslight them or threaten an election to distract them from the failures. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life here?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
An affordable budget for an affordable life is exactly what we'll deliver tomorrow on Budget Day. Conservatives have referenced the need to address productivity and GDP per capita for years. Well, good news. The head of the IMF has said diversifying trade and investing in infrastructure, housing, and defense will, in fact, boost productivity. And the Bank of Canada governor has said that this is the only way to make life more affordable. Conservatives don't seem to want to make life more affordable now. Will they vote to support our budget or vote for a Christmas election?
The Honourable Member for Battlefords, Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Mr. Speaker, a costly budget means a costly life for Canadians. Every dollar this Liberal government spends comes out of Canadians' pockets through higher taxes and inflation. Hidden taxes like the Liberals' industrial carbon tax, their fuel standards, and food packaging tax are all driving up the cost of groceries. The packaging tax alone will cost the food industry $5.6 billion and drive up the price of produce by 34%. Will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election and instead scrap the food packaging tax?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, here we go again with the imaginary taxes that the party opposite makes up. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are focused on affordability for Canadians. We are going to cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We are cutting the GST for first-time homebuyers. We are cutting the consumer carbon tax. We are going to build houses at a scale not seen since the Second World War. We are going to have automatic federal benefits for 5.5 million Canadians. Will the party opposite stop with the rhetoric? It's time for all of us in this House to come together, support a generation.
The Honourable Member for Battleford, Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Mr. Speaker, Ottawa Public Health is now reporting that 1 in 4 families are food insecure, and even baby formula is out of reach for many parents. That's the reality after 10 years of costly Liberal deficits and taxes. Food banks are overwhelmed, and Canadians are struggling to put food on the table. Instead of cutting costs, the Liberals keep raising food prices with their hidden taxes. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll ask again, will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election and finally scrap the food packaging tax?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, we find members opposite worried about imaginary taxes, when on this side of the House we are focused on solutions. The budget will make permanent the National School Food Program, which represents $800 in savings for families each year. This is one of the many investments that we are making on this side of the House to ensure kids have the best start in life and that families can get ahead. We hope you'll join us and support the budget. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar this government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher taxes and inflation. That's right. They're taxing food at every stage, from farm to fork, with their industrial carbon tax, their fuel regulations, and their plastics ban. The Liberals' fuel regulations alone will raise the cost of gas and diesel by up to 17 cents a litre and cost the economy $9 billion. Newfoundland and Labrador families are already feeling it, saying getting ahead feels impossible. Will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election on a costly budget and instead scrap the fuel tax?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, it's time that we really set the record straight. We have the members from the opposite party getting up time and time again and talking about taxes that simply do not exist. Let's be very clear. There is no plastics wrapping tax. It doesn't exist, and they should actually be honest with their citizens and their voters that it doesn't exist.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, while the Liberals make excuses, food bank use in Canada has exploded. That's right. The new Hunger Count report shows over 2.2 million monthly visits, a 5% increase from last year, double since 2019. 1 in 5 food bank clients have jobs, but they still can't afford to feed their families. In Newfoundland and Labrador, local food banks are overwhelmed. Families are lining up earlier, leaving with less because the shelves are bare. Once again, Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election on a costly budget and instead scrap the fuel tax?
Good job. The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
To say to the colleague from Newfoundland and Labrador in the opposition, there is no fuel tax. It's imaginary taxes on food. What I want to say clearly is the measures that we have in place, $10 a day childcare in our province, is allowing moms to stay in the workforce, dads in the workforce. I was in my riding riding this weekend and spoke about the importance of the new program in the budget about training workers, construction and healthcare, getting our young people to work. This is affordability.
The honourable member for Montmorency Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, in Quebec, families can no longer pay for groceries, and in my riding, workers and retirees have to choose between paying for food, transportation, or rent. Every dollar spent by this Liberal government comes directly out of the pockets of Canadians. And they also add to things with their ideological hidden taxes on food. The industrial carbon tax, the plastics tax, and the clean fuel regulations. Can the Prime Minister stop trying to provoke a costly election with a costly budget and once and for all eliminate these ideological food taxes? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, what I call ideology is when they develop these new imaginary taxes to try to spread falsehoods in the population. My colleague knows there's no grocery tax, but what is clear is that the government is working on affordability, and that's why we're here to protect the social safety net in Canada. What does that mean? Daycare. It means support for pharmacare and healthcare. And what is clear, and that's what my colleagues on the other side don't do, we are going to build Canada because in terms of affordability, people want jobs, and we're going to provide jobs. The honourable member for Joliette. Mr. Speaker, it's not just his new shoes that the Minister of Finance has made himself. He also manufactured the entire election crisis on the eve of the budget. His government held no consultations. No witnesses were heard at committee. He responded to none of the opposition's requests, and there still have not been any negotiations between the parties. And all he's done 24 hours before the budget is to threaten an election. Instead of buying new shoes today or making new shoes, why isn't the minister working on making a deal to get his budget passed? The Honourable Minister, I think it's important to correct what my honourable colleague has just said. There's more than 28,000 people who participated in these pre-budgetary consultations. We've had many conversations with the opposition, including the Bloc, and I had conversations with myself and many of my colleagues, as did the Minister of Finance. We involved all the parties in this House, and there'll be important investments in many sectors. And the question is, what will the Bloc do? Will they vote to support Quebecers and all Canadians, or will they vote against this budget? Thank you. The honourable member for Joliette. Mr. Speaker, it's like the grasshopper and the ant. The Liberals sang all summer long, and with only 24 hours to go before the budget, they find themselves caught off guard. So they threaten elections, they want to play with the numbers and make partisan attacks. Yet, Mr. Speaker, they know that the Bloc would ask for money for health care. That's our #1 priority for Quebecers. And they knew we'd ask for an increase in seniors' pensions. We've been asking for it for 4 years. The Liberals have known all our demands for ages. So with only 24 hours to go before the budget, will they support us, yes or no? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow's budget will see major investment in infrastructure, major investment in technology to create jobs across our country, including in Quebec and in all regions of Quebec. The question is to know whether the Bloc, what they will do. Will they support Quebec? Will they work with us during these tough times, or will they choose to send us to an election? That's my question for the Bloc, Mr. Speaker.
Calgary East.
All of the Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of hard-working Canadians through higher taxes and inflation. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister is forcing young Canadians to sacrifice more so he can spend more. A costly budget leads to a costly life for Canadians. Liberals promised a $42 billion deficit. If the Prime Minister really is spending less, the deficit will be lower. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Minister for Emergency Management and Community Resilience.
Mr. Speaker, as a fellow Albertan, I know families want more than just to get by. They want good jobs, stable incomes, and a fair shot at building a better life. That's exactly what we're focused on. Last year, the Prairies Development Agency helped create more than 9,000 jobs in Alberta. Budget 2025 keeps that momentum going. Conservatives can support it and help grow Alberta's economy, or keep voting against the opportunities that Albertans and Canadians deserve.
Shame on the honourable member for Calgary East.
I can promise you Albertans would not be happy with that answer, because 9 costly inflationary Liberal budgets gave Canadians double deficit, double debt, double food bank usage, double rents, double mortgages, and double inflation. What Canadians don't want is this Prime Minister to double down on the same failed policies that sent 2.2 million Canadians into a food bank every single month. So instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Yeah! The honourable minister.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Conservatives keep talking and talking and talking about affordability. But when it comes to vote, they oppose the very measures that create jobs and strengthen local economies. We're delivering real results, thousands of new jobs, real investments in prairie communities, and stronger paychecks for Alberta families. If Conservatives actually care about helping families make ends meet, they should support Budget 2025 and the jobs it will create for Albertans and all Canadians.
The honourable member for Edmonton West.
Speaker, every dollar this government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians at higher taxes and higher inflation. The Prime Minister is giving billions to Liberal connector insiders with consultants, and yet at the same time is telling young Canadians they have to sacrifice more. He's promised to cap spending at a 2% increase, but he's actually growing it by 8%. And who is paying for this inflationary spending? It's the 2 million Canadians lining up at food banks every month. So instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not deliver an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Here, here. The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Make a real difference in fighting food insecurity, Mr. Speaker. Seniors being able to access the benefits that they're entitled to. That's why we're going to make it easier for 1 million lower-income Canadians to access the benefits that they've worked so hard for with automatic tax filing. We're going to make sure that Canadians, especially older Canadians, keep their hard-earned money with the first national anti-fraud strategy. And what does Alma from Marathon, Ontario say about the strategy? Great news, yet again, by our amazing government. Thanks for always taking care of things that matter to Canadians. And we, Mr. Speaker, will continue to protect and empower Canadians like Alma.
The honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, after a delay of more than a year, the Liberal government will finally table its budget tomorrow. Since this Prime Minister took office, the Liberals have doubled the deficit, and $48 billion worth of investments have gone up in smoke. My question is simple to the Prime Minister. Will his budget propose concrete measures to eliminate indirect taxes on basic food products? And also, does he know that instead of calling an expensive, a costly election, he should table an affordable budget for an affordable life? The Honourable Minister, while the Conservatives spend QP after QP talking about taxes, we are laser focused on programs that will have a concrete effect on Canadians' lives. There's the school food program, for example. School for All. This is having a major impact on the lives of thousands of Quebecers in the most underprivileged neighborhoods. And let them keep talking about imaginary taxes while we continue to build a strong economy. The honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the C.D. Howe report. This is not imaginary taxes. The C.D. Howe gave the Liberal Party an F for its fiscal management. Even more embarrassing is the fact that this Prime Minister had promised Canadians he would keep the deficit under $42 billion. And now we see it's going to more than double. So given his finance experience, does the Prime Minister recognize the urgency of stopping his inflationary spending and to have an affordable budget? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm looking forward to having my colleague listen to the budget tomorrow. It will include generational investments to build a stronger economy so that we can have social programs that support Canadians so that we can afford that. That's the big difference between us and the Conservatives. all they want to do, they wouldn't have the Canada Child Benefit, they wouldn't have school food, they wouldn't have dental care and so on. Here, we believe in the economy and we want to build the economy so that we can help Canadians all across the country.
Don Valley East.
Mr. Speaker, I am proud to represent a riding with a vibrant Filipino-Canadian community who have contributed so much to Canada. Across the board, Canadians overwhelmingly support our government's work to help businesses grow and reach new customers around the world. That's why the Prime Minister and his government's efforts to be out there expanding trade ties are so important for building a strong, secure economy for the future. Could the Minister of International Trade please share how our government is strengthening Canada's foothold in the Indo-Pacific and what's at stake ahead of tomorrow's budget?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through you, I'd like to thank my colleague for her important work on the Filipino Heritage Month, Mr. Speaker. Last week, I joined the Prime Minister in the Indo-Pacific, one of the fastest-growing regions in the world, to expand trade and investment opportunities for Canadians. We announced the launch of a Filipino, a Thailand free trade agreement, and led forward on the Canada-ASEAN FTA. Mr. Speaker, the numbers typically show that within 6 years of signing an FTA, trade doubles. That means more opportunities for Canadian workers here in Canada. This new government is laser focused on opening new markets, creating opportunities across the country, and expanding trade by double for non-U.S. exports. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
Mr. Speaker, on Friday, the Supreme Court struck down mandatory jail time for predators convicted of possessing child sexual abuse material. That decision is disgusting. These offenders weren't caught with a few files. They had hundreds of images and videos of children as young as 3 being tortured and abused. Yet instead of standing up for victims, this Liberal government stays silent. Why is this Prime Minister more interested in protecting pedophiles than protecting Canada's children from monsters? Shame!
Secretary of State for combating crime.
Mr. Speaker, plain and simple, child abusers should face the toughest penalties under Canadian law. Child abusers are amongst the most reprehensible in our society, Mr. Speaker. That's why we've introduced sweeping reforms through Bill C-14 that make bail stricter and sentences tougher, and that make child sexual offenders serve time behind bars, Mr. Speaker. But let's not forget C-63. A Liberal government introduced that bill to protect kids online, but the Conservatives refused to support it. And a few months ago, we brought...
I wouldn't be pontificating.
The Honourable Member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
With these Liberals, why do charter rights of pedophiles come before charter rights of children? Shamefully, every single member of this party, including the Minister of Justice, remains silent. Crickets. This ruling means pedophiles with hundreds of videos of children being sexually assaulted can escape mandatory jail. You can't claim to stand for victims while you defend a system that shields the predators. Why won't this Prime Minister call the ruling what it is? Disgusting, and commit to restoring mandatory jail time for pedophiles.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, we are not silent on this issue. That is why we've introduced sweeping reforms under Bill C-14 to make bail stricter and sentences tougher, and we are making sure that child sexual offenders serve time behind bars, Mr. Speaker. But let's not forget the conduct of the Conservatives, Mr. Speaker. They refused to support C-63, which would help protect our children against online crime, online predators. And a few months ago, they refused to support lawful access, which will help police catch pedophiles, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, order, please. Order. Hello.
Not one minister said a word.
Okay. Okay, we have to move on to the honourable minister, l'honorable député.
The honourable member for Bellechasse-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court's decision declaring mandatory minimum sentences unconstitutional leaves us speechless. A person with 317 images of children, including girls aged from 3 to 10 years old. It's our view that it's necessary to have mandatory minimum sentences. Well, frankly, Mr. Speaker, how can the Liberals protect criminals instead of children? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Crimes against children are among the most serious and hateful crimes in our society. Child abusers need to get the toughest sentences under Canadian law. In the coming weeks, the government will be taking new steps based on our election platform to crack down on these heinous crimes. This Friday, we know there will be Bill C-242, and there will be nothing about getting rid of these sentences. The honourable member for Bellechasse-les-Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the government has a heavy responsibility to protect its citizens, especially the most vulnerable among us, like kids. The government introduced Bill C-14, which could have brought back mandatory minimums and done some good. But no, that's not what they did. Criminals are going to continue to get away with it. This has just been confirmed by the Supreme Court. Why is this government more concerned with protecting pedophiles than protecting the rights of children, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Justice Minister. Mr. Speaker, each child, every child in Canada deserves to be protected from exploitation and fear. Our government will always protect children with the strictest and toughest of laws and measures to support victims. Mr. Speaker, in the weeks to come, our government will be tabling legislation to protect children. And there will also be debate this Friday on Bill C-242, which doesn't anywhere talk about mandatory sentences.
For Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Every dollar the Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. A costly budget will lead to a costly life. While Canadians are lining up at food banks, this Liberal government is using their money to hand out bonuses. The Business Development Bank got $60 million, EDC $45 million, CMHC $30 million. Wow. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Here, here.
The Honourable... Please, order. Members, order. The Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Weeks, Mr. Speaker, I've been trying to learn French, but I want to say to the people of Canada, when we see a lot of measures that we're undertaking as a government to make life more affordable, we see opposition from the opposition on really good measures, Mr. Speaker. So I've learned in English to say, you are the problem, and in my native language of Cree, and now I've learned in French, tu es le problem.
You are the problem.
Because the bottom line is...
You know, in the past, members have invoked references to language and different contexts, and it can sometimes be a sensitive issue. So I think we should leave out references to different languages and how you know, some people understand one, don't understand the other. The honourable member for Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Hundreds of millions of dollars in excessive bonuses to failed Liberal insiders drives up inflation, and Canadians are paying the price. 2.2 million food bank visits, 700,000 are children. Rent has doubled. The food bank in Saskatoon is moving locations to keep up with the rising demand as it's, and I quote, bursting at the seams. Canadians can't afford homes, they can't afford food. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For 10 long years, we sent 14 Conservative MPs to Ottawa. That's 140 years.
We're going to have to start from the top on that. I mean, there was nothing provocative in the Secretary of State's answer. I don't know why it was generating so much reaction. The Honourable Secretary of State from the top, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. For 10 long years, we sent 14 Conservative MPs to Ottawa. That's 140 collective years that they have not stood up for Saskatchewan, nor voted for any positive members to help with the affordability issue across this country, Mr. Speaker. They can help today by voting for this budget. And if they want a Christmas election, Mr. Speaker, remember that Santa Claus wears red. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Leduc-Wetaskiwin.
Let's remember that Santa Claus isn't spending taxpayer dollars, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, every single dollar the Liberal government brags about spending comes from the pockets of hardworking Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. While Canadians line up at food banks in record numbers, their own money is being used by this Liberal government to hand out hundreds of millions of dollars in executive bonuses. Point in case, last year, 100% of Via Rail executives got bonuses averaging $110,000. Wow. This is incomprehensible and irresponsible. Instead of trying to provoke a costly election with another costly Liberal budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life for all Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Speaker, what Canadians expect of us is to invest in them, to invest in their families, to invest in the futures of their children, and that's exactly what this budget will do, Mr. Speaker. It will make sure that not only are we creating the jobs of today, but we're creating the jobs of tomorrow, and we're ensuring that young people have the skills to get those jobs in partnership with unions, with the Canadian building trades, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that everybody has a fair chance. That's what Canadians expect, and that's why they trust us, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Leduc-Wetaskiwin.
Mr. Speaker, in 2015, the New York Times reported that Canada had the richest middle class in the world. Just a decade later, our country is in an economic tailspin. Do you know what happened in 2015, Mr. Speaker? This Liberal government took power, and many of their current ministers, including the finance minister, were elected. And here's where we are today. During an epic housing crisis, 99% of CMHC executives got bonuses, averaging $43,000. How is that okay? How is it that Canada, under their watch, went from the richest middle class in the world to a country where many middle-class Canadians can't afford housing?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, do you know what else happened since 2015? 400,000 children have been lifted out of poverty through the Canada Child Benefit. 22 million Canadians this year will receive a tax credit. Mr. Speaker, we are working with Canadians on the things that they have told us are a priority. That's why Canadians trust this Liberal government. That's why they deeply distrust the Conservative Party of Canada.
Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. At CMHC, executives each receive bonuses of $43,000. Even more ridiculous, Via Rail executives got $110,000 each. While the Liberals reward insiders, they're asking young Canadians to sacrifice more, driving many of them to food banks. In Saskatoon, food bank usage is up 49% over pre-COVID levels, with children accounting for 38% of those users. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, it's just so tiring to hear from the members opposite how they are against everything, including anything that includes fighting climate change. But you know what they should be for, and that I hope that they will support when they're looking at our budget? They should be looking at a national school food program that helps support young people when they're in schools. They should be there to help support Canadians. That is what we do on this side of the House. We shouldn't be always hearing from them and how they're against everything. Let's hear something positive. Let's hear a positive vote on the budget.
The Honourable Member, l'Honourable Député de Dorval.
The Honourable Member for Dorval, Lachine, LaSalle. Mr. Speaker, Canada recently hosted our G7 partners in Toronto to advance the G7 Critical Minerals Alliance, international energy security, and the protection of our shared environment. Can the Minister explain how the Canada-led alliance will help stabilize prices for key minerals, protect us from coercive supply disruptions, and result in good jobs and cleaner, more affordable, and climate-competitive energy technologies for Canadians and Quebecers? Thank you very much. The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change. Thank you, and I thank you for the question. It was an honor for me and for the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources to host the G7 Energy and Environment Ministers meeting in Toronto. We discussed important things like secure supply, the circular economy, and critical minerals. Canada also secured 25 new investments, including several in Quebec, with 9 allied countries, to unlock $6.4 billion worth of critical minerals projects. And we agreed also on price stabilization tools.
Member for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes.
For 10 years, the Liberals have promised that their massive deficits will lead to more jobs and investment in Canada. It hasn't. Tomorrow, we will see another budget packed with more inflationary spending. The result? Holseg Canada announced the closure of their Lindsay plant, putting 130 people out of work. After 10 years of this Liberal government, manufacturers are closing, costs are soaring, and investment is fleeing. And just the other week, the Prime Minister told Canadians that they need to be prepared to make sacrifices. For those families dealing with job loss, high grocery prices, and a housing market out of reach, what other sacrifices should Canadians be prepared to make?
Mr. Speaker, this budget will be about protecting jobs, making sure that we protect our communities. This budget will be about building Canada and creating new jobs across the country like we've never seen before. And this budget will be about empowering Canadians, making sure that they have trust and confidence in their future and in the prosperity of this country. And that's why the Conservatives should vote for it.
The Honourable Member for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes.
Speaker, we have 130 people out of work in Lindsay, Ontario. That, combined with the latest hunger count report, shows Canadians are struggling like never before. Food bank visits hit 2.2 million in March, nearly double pre-pandemic levels. 1/3 of clients are children. Almost 1 in 5 have a job but can't make ends meet. Yet this government continues to impose hidden taxes, including the industrial carbon tax on fertilizer and farm equipment, which drives food prices even higher. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not table an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Honourable Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, we know there are trade tensions right now. We know that some tariff industries are particularly affected, and it will be my pleasure to work with my colleague to make sure that we're able to bring support to his community, particularly OSAG and OSAG workers. That being said, this budget will be doing just that, making sure that we protect jobs, making sure that we build the country, and making sure also that we empower Canadians. Looking forward to his support.
The Honourable Member for York Durham.
Every dollar
that this Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of hardworking Canadians in the form of higher taxes and higher inflation. Take the hidden fuel standards tax, which will raise the price of gasoline by 17 cents a litre and diesel by 16 cents a litre. A tax on the trucker that delivers the food is a tax on the mum or the dad buying that food in the grocery store aisle. It's a tax on young Canadians. It's one more sacrifice that this Prime Minister is asking the next generation to make. Instead of a costly budget and a costly election, why not eliminate the fuel standards tax and bring forward an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Mr. Speaker, it is so tiring to hear about these imaginary taxes. Let's focus on reality. In reality, this budget that we'll be presenting tomorrow is going to be providing positive supports for Canadians that they're looking for. They want us to build Canada. They want us to build it well. We want to talk about a cost to future generations. It's hearing from the opposite side about how they will do nothing to fight climate change. We are going to keep on standing up for Canada. We're going to keep on building Canada. We're going to build it well.
The Honourable Member for Hull-Aylmer.
Mr. Speaker, last week Canadians watched with horror as Hurricane Melissa, which was the strongest hurricane in the Caribbean's history, tore through the region, leaving widespread destruction in its wake. Hundreds of thousands of people were affected, lives were lost, homes and infrastructure were damaged and destroyed. Families were affected by the flooding and landslides. As the people of Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti and across the region begin the difficult work of reconstruction and recovery, can the Secretary of State for International Development talk about what Canada is doing?
The Honourable Secretary of State for International Development.
Hurricane Melissa has left heartbreaking devastation in its wake, and we stand with the people of the Caribbean in this moment of crisis. Last week, we announced $7 million in emergency relief, allowing partners to scale up the delivery of food, water, health services, and other essential aid. This builds on long-standing work to strengthen disaster preparedness in the Caribbean and support for the United Nations Emergency Response Fund, which released an additional $8 million in assistance. And this weekend, a Canadian team was on the ground with the Caribbean and assessing what more Canada can do. Thank you.
Member for Cloverdale Langley City.
Cloverdale's Maurizio Zanetti runs a Canadian-owned company that's doing everything right, feeding families, employing Canadians, and doing whatever he can to keep affordable food on our tables. But thanks to the Liberals' new front of packaging labeling rules, regulations that have nothing to do with food safety, he's now facing a $2.2 million compliance bill. Across the industry, the cost will top $100 million and prices are going to rise and contracts are being canceled, all because of red tape politics. So the Prime Minister, will he stop trying to engineer a costly election on a costly budget and instead scrap the costly labeling tax?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, imaginary tax after imaginary tax after imaginary tax. But when the Conservatives had the chance to stand up for families, whether it was to vote for school food programs, whether it's to vote for tax cuts for Canadians, whether it's to vote in the skilled trades training that provides those great paying jobs, I sure hope they're not going to vote against personal support workers' tax credits. But that's what it's looking like, Mr. Speaker. They're lining up to vote against what the things that Canadians need. They're driving for a Christmas election. It's so obvious. Mr. Speaker, when are they going to stand with Canadians?
The Honourable Member for Vancouver East.
The NDP secured $4.3 billion in funding to address urgent unmet housing needs for Indigenous, Inuit and Métis peoples living away from their home community. And NICHI, a national Indigenous-led organization, helped deliver that interim funding without a hitch. Many shovel-ready projects are desperate for the $4 billion long-term funding to flow, and with winter fast approaching, another construction season will be missed. Will the Prime Minister just let Indigenous Services task NICHI to get the funding out the door, or are they going to re-announce the $4 billion and pretend it's new funding in Budget 2025?
Good. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Generations of underinvestment and systemic discrimination have created a serious shortage of safe, affordable housing and supports for Indigenous peoples across Canada. Build Canada Homes will help address this by financing affordable housing at scale across the housing continuum. in collaboration with provinces, territories, and Indigenous partners. It offers flexible incentives to support non-market and Indigenous housing providers to build the affordable housing people need. Build Canada Homes is actively engaged with Indigenous governments, provinces, territories, and builders to identify early
Alors, ça met fin à la période des questions.
That concludes question period. It is 3:12, and the House will